Hey everybody, it's Marty, the JavaScript party. Rhett's out in the living room. I don't know, I'm not technically working right now, but I'm on call. I have my work computer sort of up to the right. You'll probably hear it cut on. The House of Representatives Rules Committee is supposed to be meeting here in like 3 minutes. So when that comes on, I'll I'll mute it, so you might hear it for a second. And then as soon as that is done, then the House and the Senate floor should start their thing. I think they start at 9, and then they're trying to push a bunch of like bills about homestead exemptions or something like that through. So I don't know. I don't really know exactly what's going on, but that is what's happening, and I think everyone's hoping that this goes very, very quickly, because it is very, very unusual Saturday, and then a lot of the members have like events and stuff that they need to attend. So, anyways, here we go. I'm trying to sort of, like when it's funny because when I first start, like kind of like I've just had this sort of explosion in my brain where like a bunch of things fit together that didn't used to kind of fit together. And I have sort of this umbrella, right? I have an umbrella of the app update layout component, and it holds three child components. So if we go here, we create this add, and we go into edit and update. It owns three components. It has this where it has this one of the components is this visualization component, which the desire is to lift and shift everything that's in the parent component, which is what one of the things that shows this, and put it into this other component. But now that we've broken this up from one sort of monolithic component into four components, a parent component and three children component, there does need to be some scheme for communication. And I think most people are pretty familiar with this idea here, where you have like an input and all that. So um, to communicate, and that is a very, very effective, and probably like 90%, 99% of the time, um, that's probably good, good enough, even better than good enough. It's probably ideal in most conditions, but there are a lot of circumstances as the application grows where that starts to become a very limiting factor. It starts to make it very difficult to kind of break out pieces of functionality into smaller code because the hang on one second, because the um because the it's kind of hard to communicate, because every time you kind of take one of these inputs and tie it to an attribute, a class attribute of the component, um, you are tightly coupling it to the TypeScript. So then when you try to lift and shift it, then you got to account for that. And many times, okay, it looks like that meeting started. Nope. And many times when you do that lift and shift, many times when you do that lift and shift into a component, you just find that, oh man, I need to further lift and shift it. So um, another layer down. Once you've done that, once you've sort of you've deeply coupled to a grandparent instead of just a parent, um, then so the rules committee has in fact started. Um, but yeah, so as you lift and shift and you start getting lower and lower, the ability to like reason when you're working at the grandparent level on how it's going to impact grandchildren and great grandchildren and all that becomes almost impossible. It's just very, very difficult um, to make that mentally, cognitively make that leap. Um, so if you think that like, oh, okay, we're making one parent, one child, and that's it, blah, 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 then that's a good idea to just use inputs like this. But if you feel like there's a chance that you're gonna end up further making or trying to heavily reuse that component someplace else, and you want it, and you want it to like when you reuse it someplace else to sort of still be connected to the same data. So it's like one thing like, oh, I have a checkbox, okay, and the checkbox is for this one, and then the checkbox is for that one, right? That's one thing. But it's like, oh, I have a checkbox, but I want it to be, if I check it here, I still want it to check over there. I still want it to be connected to the same data. Um, then you really do need to come up with a different way. And so I'm kind of working through that, and it's taking me a good bit of time. But this is a perfect example of like the first few times I do it, it's going to be hard, um, and then, and then, sorry, I have to monitor what's happening on my computer. Everything is just starting to get rolling, so it should slow down in a few minutes. As because, like I said, everyone where I'm on call, another person's on call, and she's actually checked in, and then there's a couple people at the office, and they're checking in. Um, uh, yeah, just like everyone's kind of checking in to get started, but then I think everybody will just do kind of what I'm doing, do their own thing. But so the idea is that I need to this visualization viewer to have all the information that this has, but to get it in a remote way. And this is just kind of a new thing for me. It's not, I've done things very much like this many times in the past, but not this specifically. I mean, in the past, I've sort of bumbled my way through it as opposed to like now where I kind of have a really good idea what I'm doing. I suspect this is the kind of thing that if I do it 4 or 5 more times, I'll be able to do it in my sleep in a matter of minutes. I'll just be like and copy and pasting and stuff and just be done. But this first time around, it's kind of hard. It's a lot. Um, but so my strategy strategy. So my strategy, I think the strategy is the right word. My strategy is to just sort of have mirrored information in both places and and have and basically make this work with a signal, with a service signal instead of as direct inputs. And if I can get this working with this service signal, then I can just copy, I should be able to just copy this app viz and put it into this app layout viewer. And it should all just be fine. Um, because with that, however I'm getting this information in whatever subscription way, RxJS, reactive way, signals, whatever, I'll just import the exact same stuff and then get it the exact same way. And then I won't have it tied to any of the TypeScript. Oh, wow. So that was quick. I think they're just, yeah. So the rules committee has officially ended. Let's see. Go back here. Let's get into the videos of the so all the like legal videos and stuff are all like of all the events are live broadcast, live streamed on the internet. Um, so it looks like the house is up and running. They have 5 people watching right now. I don't think that includes me. And the Senate is not running yet. The rules meeting is over. Is over. Um, let's see. There we go. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. It's gonna be like that today. I apologize. All right. So basically, I want this renderer ID, which is 1, to be up here, and I want to get it in a way that is not tied to anything directly. I want it to get it not to like a signal, not to not directly to an attribute. And then I want to get it here the exact same way, and then I want to um, communicate that here. So that is that. Now, right off the bat, sort of a muscle memory kind of thing that I have sort of in my head is that I do a subscribe here. Subscribe actually returns a value, and it's a subscription. I believe it's a RxJS subscription. So so that's like I'm going to call this my route. I don't want to call it publish route. That's not the right word. Um, this is our edit render ID subscription. And that is a subscription. And we got to make sure this one is one that like um, okay, see, I didn't notice this, but yeah, you do have this RxJS thing here on the side there. So that's nice. Um, and then I don't ever remember that before, but so see, now we have it here, subscription. And then I don't think you have to, I think you can say like here, dot edit render subscription is equal to. So it's complaining, but it is okay to not assign something that has a type if you assign it in the constructor. And like if we were to, like if we get, I'm just going to control X this and put it right back. So if you actually look at the error, it even tells you that it says like has no initializer and is not definitely assigned in the constructor. It's so funny. I've always read that backwards. It has no initializer and is definitely not assigned in the constructor, but it is not definitely assigned, which makes sense because like you could have like a case statement that avoided it. Um, so I'm going to control Z that. And then we are going to tell it to implement the on destroy, which I don't know. Is it implements or yeah, I think it's and then on destroy, which comes from Angular core. And then at this point, I usually will go like this and just have it make one for me. Oh, it's weird. There we go. So it will implement it, but basically it just kind of implements a basic thing. And what we're going to do is say this dot edit render ID subscription dot unsubscribe. And you typically will want to put a question mark in front of that just in case for some reason it doesn't exist. And I've never seen that be a thing. And it's been a long time because I think this may be the first RxJS subscription we've done in this project. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, but I don't do them nearly as much since Angular, since Signals came out. Um, so, anyways, I think that is something that is definitely taken care of for you by Signals. So we're not publishing the route. We're publishing the up, edit update render ID. Let's see, publish. So that's what we're doing. That's our verb. Edit, update, render ID. And we're public. Yeah, so that makes total sense in the way we speak English. It would not make sense in like a language where they are where they kind of um, where the subject is at the end and the adjectives are before. So like I think in Spanish, you'd probably want to say like publish ID of edit, update, render. And then in English, I think what you want to say is publish, edit, update, render ID. And that can get really weird if you work in like in a very, very like linguistically diverse group of people. Let's see. All right. So now our update ID is one. We do not actually have, it doesn't exist. You can't really create one from this view. If you want to create, well, actually, let's do that. Now I'm curious. Let's go back. And what if I don't think if we create one here, I don't think it'll work. But now I think if we go like this and then update it will. Oh, interesting. Okay, that's a bug. So our update went to 2. We would expect it to go to 1. Now I'm curious. Oh, I think see, this is such a good memory leak catch. Delete. And then add. And then update. Okay, so when I did do the delete, it actually deleted everything. So it would actually be very interesting to see what happened there. Maybe something that it was a sign. Yeah, I bet you what happened was there was when I yeah, who knows. It'll be interesting to dig into that one. Hopefully I remember to look into it. F12. All right. So we are update 2. So here's where our what we're looking at right now. And you see that basically it's pretty simple. Basically, it, we have update and it's 2. So there's like kind of 2 pieces of information here. The first piece is that we have where we're at, what we're looking at, which is update. So we're in the right place. And then the second thing is the number. And you see we're down to 1 now, but it was 2 before. All right, so it looks like we want to say we only want to publish if we're in update mode. Okay, so and only publish if we are in update mode. And I would say the next sort of level, like I can kind of see the next level what I need to get comfortable with that once I get comfortable with this. And the next level, what I want to get comfortable with, and I just kind of need to just think about it a little, not like get completely dove in, but it's becoming more and more in more of my projects and stuff. It's becoming more and more of a standard use case where I have a service that is publishing something like a renderer ID in this situation, like kind of assuming that it's just one. There's only one renderer ID, but um, if what am I trying to say here? But let's say I wanted 2 visualizations right now, like I wanted 2 renders. Well, then I would need to come up with a different way. And one way might be to have like an array or a list of them, but another way might be to have the service only to control the scope of the service. So that each instance of whatever has its own version, its own singleton version of this service. So like this update layout toolbar, like if I were to be able to have two of these whole things side by side and I wanted to work on them independently, each one of them could have their own service as opposed to a for root service that everybody shares. And that is starting to become a real issue. And I've had jobs where that was a real issue and I just kind of got it to work and never really understood it. But anyways, so if we are in update mode, so basically what we want to do, I think we want to, I don't know if this is the best way to do this, but spe uh, um, route information. And that is an array of strings. And that is this dot router dot URL. Oh, and see, I'm starting to see exactly why. Um, dot split. And what this will do is this will create an array and it'll split it on that. Now, I don't know exactly what we'll get, but now I can see why I want to pass the URL in, because that way this dot router URL, it'll be so much easier to unit test. Now it's saying that it's going to be, oh, this doesn't, this is, accepts a string. Oop, wrong one. I'm going to call that route. Expect the raw route. And over there we pass the URL. Now that, I think that this may not work because that is a primitive. I guess I probably want to pass the whole router in, which is an object. So it's possible that this string will change. Okay, so when this gets created in the constructor, this is going to pass in a string, which is going to be a primitive. If I do this, it's going to pass in the object. Let's do this colon router. And then the string could change, which is a good thing. So basically when it comes in, basically the URL may or may not be that, may or may not be what we're looking for. And it may or may not change. But the value, if it does change, it will change. This is where things get so confusing with JavaScript objects. Um, it's going to send that route, and that object's going to be the same. If for some reason behind the scenes they actually change routes, then all this will break. I don't think they ever do that. I don't think they guarantee to never do that, but um, URL equals. I guess I can just do this router.url split. Yeah, there's no reason to add that extra layer of assigning things. I guess it's sort of almost the opposite of abstraction, depending on how you look at the word abstraction. Okay, so at this point, I don't know. Let's just do this constant. I think what we're going to have is two log void. That's so interesting. I think we're gonna have two entries. One will say update, and one will be the actual number that we want. Let's see. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have this return a number. And I'm gonna make this let render ID equals -1. So, and then we're going to return a -1 if we don't find it. But if we do find it, we'll actually return the actual value. And let's see, F12. Publishing. Okay, so it actually gave us three values. It actually gave us the first blank, the second. So it gave us three instead of two. It gave us a blank and then update and then one. So I want to take that and so only if okay. So basically, and here's where it really pays to define everything. Const and then mode is equal to. Okay, so we only want to do this if it's 3 long, right? So if it's something other than 3, we need to come back and sort of figure out what's happening. Like, so it wouldn't surprise me if we end up like with another number in the future that is like here, that is like maybe the mesh ID or something, like dash and then 3 or something. Um, so, um, that actually probably makes a lot of sense, but it's probably not going to be actually not going to be a good idea because the problem is that string a the problem that we're going to run into is if we go here, let me just double check this. I'm confident actually. I don't know why. Um, the problem we have is that a render will have a render ID, but it'll also have a camera ID and a scene ID. And so like when I'm doing that update, I need to know if I like I'll probably want to be able to update the camera directly. Maybe I don't. Maybe not. I don't know. Actually, I don't even know. That's interesting. All right. All right. So now we want it. Okay. So if it's greater than 2, right? If the index is greater than 2, if the length is greater, route information dot length is greater than 2, right? So it's 3. Then we're gonna say let the mode is equal to link, and then we're gonna let um, render ID string is equal to blank. All right, so now we only want to do this if mode we're gonna say um, that the mode is equal to route information 1. So that's the second entry. And then the render string is equal to route information 2. Let's see. And then and it probably will make sense to, I don't know. It may end up making sense to sort of pull these into, instead of having, so there's this concept branch functions over branches. So I could say mode is equal to, and then pass it the router information, and it returns this, and then render string is equal to this, and um, and then those become extraordinarily easy to unit test because you can just pass them. Now I'll have to make sure to add a router that has a URL that has these things, all that, which really is not a big deal. It really isn't, but um, has the potential of really growing a lot. Um, Now, it's also always very tempting to do stuff in here, like to add more code in there. But that just makes things more difficult to reason about in my mind. And it's already like these things have already gotten to the point where they're just so difficult to reason about that you kind of have to do anything you can to lower the cognitive load. Bop, 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 bop. Let's see. So now we're going to say if mode is equal to update. And I feel like my modes, like the possibilities, I think I have a type that gives the different possible modes, but I think at this point I'm just going to leave it where it could be any string. So if mode is equal to update, then we're going to try to parse the string into the renderer ID. But otherwise, we'll leave it alone. So, and there's this kind of thing that I know I could just stumble through and get working. Well, I guess we should just double check that everything works. Mode, comma, renderer ID string. So what I'm hoping to do is see update, and I don't even care if it really, yeah. Ooh. Oh, okay, yeah, here it is. Publishing, and then that was the whole thing, and then update and one. So that's good. Oh, that was to be expected. And now I just want like, see, this is where I think the best thing, where AI is so effective, and that is when you know there's like a million ways to do things, but you don't know quite which one is kind of be the most digestible for everybody. And ChatGPT just does such a good job of searching through all the things and finding sort of the most accepted version. But you need to know what you're doing. And this was a funny thing because like lawyers are just getting in trouble everywhere for using ChatGPT. And the other day I was like writing up a story for work, or a comment or something for work, doing analysis. I was doing a deep analysis for work. And I was like, hey, ChatGPT, what are all the breakpoints for Twitter Bootstrap 4.1? And it gave them to me, and I was just going to use it. And I was like, oh, crap, I can't really use this because I don't actually know if it's actually true or not. It seems like it should be true. So then I did a search and went to the Twitter Bootstrap site, on Google, went to their site, and then copy and pasted the stuff from there as opposed to copy and paste it from ChatGPT, because I was like, I have to actually double check, and it's just the easiest thing to say, okay, it's fine. But anyways, so in TypeScript, um, what is a good way to parse a number to a string to a number? So like, now the easiest way is to just do a multiplication and see if that works. But yeah, yeah, that is the best way. See, I just forgot about that. That is the best way to do that. Okay, I think this is what we want. Now it is an integer, so we could use parse int, but I think I want to use this. And we only want to do this if mode is update. Um, I don't know if that's probably not the best way to do that, but render that's probably not the best name. If I think of something better, I'll do that and then check if it's. So now we're checking to see if it's that, but we're saying if it's not, man, then I want to render ID is equal to numeric. Now, render ID is equal to numeric, and I guess that's what we want to do. Render ID. So we're hoping to see a number over there now. Yep, and now it's a number. So I guess because it's purple, I know it's a number. All right, so now we want to publish our. I think either it's going to be a -1 or it's going to be 1, and we don't want to actually try to render a -1. So I think what we want to do at this point is say this dot edit render ID dot set render ID. And then what we want is to take this service and then one thing I don't know if I'm developing a habit or not. Probably not a habit, but it is like not ideal. But I probably should be doing a couple extra steps here to make this like where um, it's a read only thing. So make this like action instead of subscribing to, I don't know if subscribing is the right word. Instead of listening to the um, effect of this directly, have a computed, make this private, have a computed from this, and then listen to the effect from the computed. I would imagine that's how it's done the in the in like professional coding. And if I was like, I've never had to work the. I think the professionally the most modern Angular I've ever worked with is Angular 14. Um, on my personal things, like the most modern one is 21, and right after this episode, um, wow. So neither one has actually started yet, but there are a bunch of people watching. So the House has 81 people currently watching, and the Senate currently has 25 people watching. So that's fun. But anyway, so um, but I do think that's just boilerplate, and I don't know exactly what like. There's going to be a way that everybody loves doing it, and it's like I don't want, you know, there's probably going to be just like a function you call or something. I don't know. There's going to be a really clever and good way for them to handle, for this to be handled that is still to be worked out. All right. So this we now we want to go into our update layout viewer. That's this guy up here. Just make sure that we're already. I'm pretty sure we're already bringing our yeah app layout service. App update layout service. And then, so that's not even working. Yeah, I don't know why. Why would I want to keep that around? That's weird. Us Gen Xers have a real hard time with hoarding. Just a really, really hard. What was it? App update layout service. Edit render ID. Yes. Yes, sir. All right. So let's go back to this view here. Let's add one. Let's go back to here. Update. All right. So now what I want to do is instead of this, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So this, I'm going to come in here and hopefully this works. I can't think of why it wouldn't work, but it wouldn't be the weirdest thing I ever saw. That's for darn sure. That's fascinating that it did not. Control X. Like I would have thought something would happen, but maybe not. Maybe it actually. Well, no, it should have because the memory should have been wiped out. Interesting. All right. Looks like that's right though. I mean, it looks like it's doing the right thing. All right. So now we need to get the viewer width and the viewer height, and I think those are already coming from some kind of service. Oh, house has officially started. Probably, I think they're gaveling in and getting ready to take attendance. It'll be very interesting to see how many people are in attendance today. It is Saturday. It is Saturday at 9:09 a.m. It's kind of a normal Saturday for me right now, other than I did get up probably an hour earlier than I normally do. I went to bed an hour earlier last night than I normally do, and normally by now, by 9, I would probably be taking the dogs up to the creek. Um, take them on their nice long walk that we take every morning or every day, not every morning. All right, so viewer width and viewer length. Okay, so those get set in this effect. See, so we're already doing that, and it looks like this. Can I just do this? Okay, so we need the viewport service. I don't think we're bringing that in over there. So let's go over here. And I would say that like one of the best fillings um, in software development is like composing. Like when you can just take things and just put them like Legos. That's just such a good feeling. W. I wonder what the W was for. W viewport service resource. All right. And so now, and I think what we can do is um, we could pass that into. Let's see. We could actually probably print out the whole thing. see what we get. So we get an object, and so if you work in any version of Java, I mean, if in all likelihood you could do this. Oof. And that'll be fine. For me, that won't work, and it won't work because this is a standalone project, Angular, and I don't have Commons. I think it's called Commons from Core or Common or something like that. Common module. Yeah, that guy. Oh, and it comes from Angular Common. I don't know why, but I like to have all my Angular stuff first. It doesn't bother me if it's not like that, but I do like it. Oh, the Senate is going. Looks like it's getting pretty serious. Where the Senate? Oh, there's hardly anybody there though. It looks like. Yeah, but they're going. They're cranking through. It looks like the yeah. Bert Jones is there. Oh, okay. So now they're doing they're checking to see if everybody. Yeah, almost everyone's there in the house. Very few um absences. Wow. But the Senate, I don't know. It doesn't look like. Maybe not. Maybe I don't know. It's hard to tell. They kind of put the camera straight like at the front, and then there's kind of pan from different places, but you don't really get to see the whole place. So, anyways, I hope they get this stuff done soon. All right. So now if we do Control S. Right. So now we brought in comma and we do that. I mostly did not. I knew I probably could just do this. The only thing was like I could just go get the width and height, but I do want to make sure that I remember to bring in the like how to do this. This is probably, on the top. This this pipe JSON like is probably in the top five most useful things for debugging in my personal opinion. Number one would definitely be like the console log. Number two for me would definitely be like debugging, like the debugger stepping through. And I think number three might be this JSON interpolation. But anyway, so now it looks like we can also, instead of that, we could just say view or width. And it doesn't have to be a JSON anymore, but and that's just for the sake of height. And I feel like this is going pretty smooth. It doesn't always go this smooth. All right, so I should be able to do this. Why do I have this on there? I don't think I need this. So I should be able to take this guy, and because we have the exact same name of like we named everything the same. Um, we can do this instead. Now, is that easier to read? Is it easier to code? I don't know. Probably not. But boy, does it make moving things easier. All right, so let's just make sure all this works still. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's so fascinating that got moved. I can't remember which one was first, but that definitely something went wrong. Let's see. Hmm, that's a little nerve-wracking. Okay. So I guess what we need to do is, I don't know, I guess put another div. I don't know if I be able to see it. Probably not. That's why I did that. Okay. Okay. Wonder if these numbers are the same. Maybe they're not the same. I'm guessing the width is the same. I think the height. I don't think it's 1,000. Oh, okay. Because viewer height, I probably do some additional logic in. Now that yeah, because 1,055 is definitely not right. Okay, so how do I do that? How do I do that? I probably divide it by 2 or something like that. Viewport height, viewport width. Now let's see. And see, that is such a terrible name, right? If that is in fact what we're using, what in the world? See, to me, it seems like, okay, so that does not seem to be right. Viewport height. Where are we? Oh, I guess I Control Z. Hello. Okay, it's the height. I think it's going to be the problem. Oh, it's viewer, not viewport. Viewer height. So actually, that was good. See 517. Now, how do I determine the viewer height? There we go. And see, that kind of like just little logic that you put in places that just creeps into everything. And okay, so this takes the viewer div and oh Jesus. Okay, so we call this resize visualization. And then we take the viewers. Oh my goodness. Boy, did I make a mess here. Um, like I said, like I keep saying, this is a perfect example where it's just like a problem that I would just run into over and over again, where like I've deeply coupled to the components, um, uh, the components attributes and class attributes, and then um, started modifying things, and now like those things are weird. All right, so I think we need to. Uh, I guess all of this needs to be brought into this service. This is definitely service behavior. Um, add update component, but but the thing is okay. This just all needs to get moved into the service. That is so funny. I thought, oh, okay, I'll get resize working, um, and then next thing you know, it was like, that'll be good because I get it working, and then it'll just stay working, and here we are. It's like, okay, so I do think, okay, this is very specific for this. So, and I guess it is something that we need to handle over here. Okay, app update layout component. So it's expecting to get an app update layout component. What is it? Oh, okay, that's so that it can set the width. So I pass in the whole, and that's probably because I lose context as I come in here. I guess the senators were just a little late filing in because they all seem to be there too. I guess they probably had a meeting or something right before that they were all coming over from. I can't, the volume's down, so I can't really hear what's going on, but okay, so app update layout component. Oof. So I pass in the whole update layout component, and then it updates that, and that is just a really bad way to do that. Um, and honestly, at the time, I wouldn't. I've grown. I like literally. I think it was last Saturday, 7 days ago today. I did a video that I could not publish because I was very incoherent during parts of it because I was like in a fever state, and one of my son's dogs, decided to show her dominance on a pillow right there, and it was really, yeah, just not a good video. But um, based on like sort of whatever leveling up or unlocking I did in that point, it became very obvious to me that this is not the way this thing needs to be done. So, and see, like, yeah, had I even, yeah, yeah, should never have been done this way. Um, okay, so basically we get a div. So I only need the app layout component for these two lines here, which we are not going to do anymore. And then I don't, so I don't want that line there. And that's one of the nice things also about when you have like vertical and you do, like hit enter and you have like all these vertically, it's so easy just to, while you're coding, to comment one out to see what happens when you comment it out. And then finalize initialization app update 0 return true. So literally all this thing does is, all right, so we want to be able to pass in whatever the div is and then get the visualization. Okay, so we're going to do publish visualization dimensions. And it's going to do that. It's going to produce that. And basically up here, what we're going to have is um, edit visualization width, which is going to be a writable signal, and it's going to be a number. And like the most tempting thing for me in the world at this point is to make this like a an object, like where I just say, here are the dimensions. This is the object. That adds a lot of complexity that I just don't feel is worth it at this point, um, because basically I have to force it to change the object reference to get it to publish. But with these um, primitives, it handles it nice and easy. If it changes, it publishes. If it doesn't change, it doesn't publish. Writable number, signal number. And so basically, we want to get our width and a height from these, not from the stuff that were there. The not from the um, not from like the um, IDs and or not from the data that's stored on there. I would rather dimensions it do it based on app update viewer with based on this whatever this however this does it. So this takes the viewport width and the view offset width. So I don't know why would it do offset width and height. It probably would have been fine to do that. I don't know. We'll see. But so it seems like I could just say like this dot. And actually, that may not even be a number. That might be a word, a string. And if it is, then that's fine. I think this dot viewport edit visualization width. And it's interesting because there's hardly this thing's hardly doing anything, and it's already gotten weirdly complex. And then it's going to be this viewer div offset width. This is one of those things you kind of have to keep an eye on because you don't want to. Okay, because you don't want to like you don't want to end up like something. Sometimes every once in a while, what'll happen is you'll get like the scroll bar will start to appear or disappear, and it'll cause that height and width to keep changing, and you'll get into like this weird like jittery thing. And so sometimes that's something you have to deal with. I don't know, like I've run into it enough times that it's like one of those things I know I can figure out, but haven't run into it. I don't run into it often enough to to make it like worth my while to like memorize the solution. In addition to that, there's like a million. It's very much like that other one where there's just like a million ways to do it. Okay, so we want to get 842 and 517 would be my guess. Let me go back to here. This is the kind of like um so that's the height is 517. Oh, they are rolling. Man, they are rolling in the house right now. So 842, 517. All right, and we want this to be 517 8:15 there, not 8:42. So, um, now right now we're using the viewport with. I do not want to use the viewport with. So, okay. How did it know the height though? That's what's weird, right? It actually gets the actual. Oh, and that's probably because in here, yeah, it's probably getting this viewer here. And I think that still works. So actually, I think whatever is calling this, I could probably from there, I can probably hook into it, right? So this resize, I could probably call my this dot app service dot publish visualization dimensions and then pass it the viewer. Cool. Viewer. And then okay. So now I don't think I'm listening to those things, right? Am I listening? In here. See, I'm trying to use the viewport service, which was a mistake. I needed to use the app update service. I'm trying to think like, is this, I think this is going to be weird. Okay, let's think. Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot to think about. And honestly, like, it is exactly my point. Like, it's just like trying to figure out how these things connect together is very difficult because they're all sort of all that logic is sort of jammed together. What I'm doing right now is starting to tease all that stuff apart. Um, so I think it's the doesn't really matter with height. No, so that was supposed to be width. Well, and yeah, the shape of this whole structure, this whole architecture just really shifted in my head. So, okay, so it's got a height of 0. Ended up with a height of 0, visualization height. And it's probably because it was 0. Because if I remember correctly, there's like a set timeout. App layout component. Finalize initialization. All right, let's go over to finalize initialization. So this is where this. See, I did this because for unit test purposes, but it is a bit of a pain now. And see, I had to pass in the whole update component. That's why I had to pass in the layout component because I didn't want to bind. I don't know why. I probably would have been better off binding. So it seems like I also want to do, basically it's set timeout. And I don't think this one won't care about context. Don't think, because it, okay, why? Why will it not care about context? It won't care about context because um, it's a singleton, so the context is already set, I guess. I don't know. Okay, why can't I do that? Let's see. This update layout. Okay, why can't I just pass it to it? I guess, yeah, I don't know why. Ah, that didn't help. So let's make this 100. Curious. It's weird because this, okay, so publish visualization dimensions and it passes in the viewer div. Oh, let's see if we have any errors in the console. Okay, we do not. And this is the element. We do the publish, go to definitions, console.log, viewer div. Let's try that. 12. Okay, so we do have the div, and that does seem to be the height. It's really cool, that little arrow. I never noticed that green, that purple arrow. It was like a purple arrow that goes right across the middle there. That is really cool. I've never noticed that before. And you see that it is 842 by 517, but when this ran, it was not. Even though we even waited. Like we can wait. Get back. Arrow. I think we can even wait like 3 seconds, which is, see, we waited 100 milliseconds, so we're going to wait a whole second. So there's 0, 0, and then it went 842, but they're still saying that the viewer div was there. And that, okay, so obviously I'm missing something because the viewer div should not have been like that. So now let's come back over here, F12, get this guy going. Let's see if we can figure something out here. So viewer div is right there. Here it is right here in our debugger. Then let's see. See, it says offset height is 517. Wait, oh, did I do something wrong in here? 517, 842. That's weird, right? That's weird. It's weird. Okay, let's come over here and look at this guy. Edit visualization width. All right, so let's just double check height, width. Nope, width and height. All right, let me flip back over here. Uh, silly rabbit. All right. Let's run this bad boy. Why can't I see a run button? All right. So the problem, at least one of the problems, is don't want to declare victory too soon, but it appears that our problemo is that I'm never setting the height. All right. There we go. Now, do we even need? I don't think we need the 1 minute or 1 second delay now. So let's back out. Back up, back up, back up. 0. And then, so now we'll try to use that. Baby got back. Well, the house is at ease. It's been fun to listen to what happened there because that was not very long. They were not up very long. I think they're done. They're probably done with their work. The problem is, I think what has to happen is I don't know if you ever saw that how a bill becomes law, but like the things bills have to get passed out of the House and then into the Senate and then from the Senate back to the House. Or they go out of the House 3 times. They read them 3 times and then they give them over to the Senate and then the Senate reads it 3 times and then they give it over to the governor. And the I'm guessing that the House is done. It looks like to me. And then like they've done their 3 times and all that. Now it's going over to the Senate, and now I think they're going to try to get a bunch of those things through right now, which is like against our Constitution. But well, actually, I don't know if it's against our Constitution. It's against our rules um, of parliamentary procedure, but they are can the rules can be relaxed in emergencies. And so my suspicion is they've relaxed the rules, which makes sense to me. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, so far it seems good. So we'll go over here. We'll actually add one. Boom, update. All right, so that is good. Oh wait, oh, only added one of them. It is amazing how much like whatever your domain that you work in really affects the way um, really affects the way work is the way you code. So like if you work in a domain where like I've known people who worked in hospitals before and they have triage, because they have triage in. And let's reload. Add, add, update. Okay, so that's all working. So in theory, I should be able to just grab this whole thing now. Okay, so we don't want this anymore. Let's get this out of there. And then I don't. So I think we should be able to grab this whole thing like that. And we go to our app update layout viewer. This is literally the first time I've ever really done this sort of what I'm trying to do right now, like um, in a like in a real for reals. I've never like or I've done this, but it's never been like as like sort of orderly and understandable as what I'm doing. Like every other time it's just kind of like, oh, I did these 20 steps and I don't actually know what the 20 steps were. All right, so we have a problem because we have not imported app viz into our imports, and we don't need that anymore. So I guess I should just do this. I was hoping I could kind of just sort of dummy my way into it. Viz component. See, I didn't put the app in front of viz component. That was my mistake. Or that's why I couldn't kind of figure it out. And then this common module, we don't need this anymore. Let's see, I'm gonna go back over here, add one. This is the big moment. Yes. Guys, like that was so much work, and there's still work to unwind, but holy crap. So, and honestly, so what's so nice about like if you look at our app layout viewer, right? Like you look in here, this is all that's in there. This is all the code that's here. Like it's very, very straightforward. Um, but if we come over here, even with the little bit that we've done so far, it had already gotten just like out of control. It things started to really get weird. So I don't think we need any of this stuff, right? And actually, we did not test it. So let's go ahead and do that. It's kind of nice that it's black now in the back there instead of being white when you do the reload. So we do need this. Why do we need this? I don't quite understand why we need that. And then I hope we didn't just get like a false positive there, like, oh, it all worked. Okay, so that works. We do this set timeout. So what's happening in here? Finalize initialization. So literally all it does is say after. Oh, yeah. I don't think we need this anymore. But I think we need it for the template. So let's go ahead and try to remove it from the template first and see. Because it just doesn't feel like we need this anymore. I think the render ID being greater than 0 is probably still very useful. Well, the house is back on. Senate is, well, they're technically going. You just don't see anybody. Um, I mean, you see some people, but you don't see any of the members. Um, anyways, so we're not even using that anymore. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And I do feel like, okay, there's been plenty of places where I've had to do almost every place I've ever worked. I've had to, we don't need this anymore. Almost every place I've ever worked, I've had to have some sort of after initialization complete flag for some reason or another. But, oh, okay, so that's interesting. So now that's the white background. Now this should not compile because it should be upset about something down here. Where are you? This guy. Now it should compile. Is there another? Hit save. There we go. Maybe I didn't hit save. So close. Okay, so that's good stuff. Okay, so now I don't think I need this anymore. This is probably the most important. What? It's saying that app update layout component. Because I removed this set timeout? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, it wasn't because I guess that was something else. So it's saying that here on line 31 of app layout component, oh, in the template on 31. Okay, so we were using it here too. I don't even think I care about any of this stuff really. Like I think that was all just debugging stuff or getting stuff working stuff. There we go. All right, so that's good. That's good stuff. Good stuff. And really, I shouldn't be using the renderer ID. I should be using the other one. Um, but let's just stay on track. Oh, looks like it froze. No, it didn't. That guy just there's a guy standing on the screen that just hasn't moved in like he's just like kind of leaning against a thing. A couple of them that just haven't moved at all in like a long time. So I thought that the video had frozen up, but then there's like this one dude moving around. That was wild. All right. So that's fun. That's fun. All right, so now let's go back to our set timeout. This is such like to me, this is the piece that everybody forgets to do and ends up making life so hard in the future when you don't unwind everything after like you have a bunch of code and then you do some stuff and then you don't need that code anymore and you just leave that code. Huge mistake every single time. All right. So then we don't need this. So this thing doesn't even need to exist anymore. Boom. We literally just we just deleted like 6 lines of code. Never a problem. They're no longer a problem. We will have to, there's probably a unit test for it or something like that. I wonder if I hit add, then hit this, and then hit back. Interesting. If I hit forward, then what if I hit this? And then I hit update. It's fascinating. All right. And the two thing would be interesting too. We'd have to start at the data so that we could go all the way back and see our data. All right, so I don't, so all we're doing is the set to, do we need the set timeout? I wonder. Probably, we probably need it, but like any chance I get to, if I even have a small chance of getting rid of a set timeout, I will. Now there's a new thing, a new function that's really nice for that. All right, so we don't even need the set timeout anymore. And yeah, that it does happen. Like the timing changes. The timing changes on things. So I don't think we need any of those comments anymore. We do not need this anymore. And then let's see if we still need this. So that's always nice. We only call it once. Why is native? Oh, okay, because all that's all this thing does. All right, so we can get rid of this guy, and complexity has just dropped very dramatically, and we still have more to win. More wins. And this is something that used to take me hours and hours and hours to unwind code and go through and all that. But, just with time, I've gotten where I can do it very quickly. All right, so here, instead of resize visualization, I think we can just call the function because resize visualization only calls one. Go to definition. Yeah, see, this is all this does. So theoretically, well, I see one of the senators that threw a fit last week talking. There were a lot of people very upset about having to go in and have a session day to day. Native element. And I would love to decomplexify this too, because this will probably just be nothing but trouble in the future. So update visualization size. There we go. So we don't need this resize visualization anymore. He gone. And that's another 138, 7 lines of code that we don't, 7 less problems to deal with. All right. So now we're just saying, hey, if the editor DOM element exists and if the renderer is created, then so we have this viewer element. Okay, and that comes from native element. So update. So does this naming still work? And I think okay, so this has to happen here. This is this app layout component is the only one that knows about this. So I think that it has to happen here. Maybe not, but do I need all app? I don't think I need the app layout component anymore. Oh yeah, I do. Viewer view. All right, so basically this handles updating the size. I think it looks like, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it looks like it's absolutely necessary. Now this processes the visualization. This gets called under process visualization. So is render created? Checks to say this render is render created layout. This does editor DOM element exist? And then we pass it to here. And I'm guessing we did this almost, I'm 100% almost sure we did that. We broke this out for the purposes of unit testing. Um, and that all looks good to me. And then, all right, so do we need any of these like viewport width, viewport height, any of this stuff? I don't think so. So let's just kind of go one by one. Viewer width. Comment that out. Did it see if anything breaks? It's kind of a shame we can't, that we have to do it like this. Okay, nothing broke. So that means, how about this guy? Actually, let's just try all 3 of them since it is kind of a bit of a pain. That's fascinating. So we don't need any of these. So I bet you, do we need this? I don't think we even need the renderer ID anymore. We probably still need it for other parts. We don't need it for this anymore, but I bet you we need it for other stuff. So I don't, well, let's just, actually, wherever we're using this, we probably should just calculate aspect ratio signal. Okay, so right off the bat, I think we need to change this to use our signal instead. This dot, what's it called? App update layout service dot edit renderer ID. Let's see. Oh, it looks kind of like our whole aspect ratio thing down there broke anyways. Oh no, it didn't. Okay. Well, this broke. Whatever this one broke, it's not happy, but these are happy and it looks good. So, oh, we haven't tried resizing it though. Let's see if resizing still works. Nope, we broke resize. Oof. Um, I don't know when it broke. I can't believe we didn't test that. That's the worst. Okay, let's just see if this. And I wish I could say this is the first time I ever did it before, but that I've ever kind of missed. See, this is why I love the end-to-end tests because it's just so easy to miss some kind of change that you make. Right, let's Control Z. I wonder if it's that timeout. Let's try that. Let's try putting that timeout back in. Is render, where is it? Update service. Visualization. Okay, there's our effect, and then where does editor exist? Set calculation, app layout, native, update, and then, yeah, it's like this one. I wonder if, well, okay, so the first question is this even being called now? Console. Update size. Console. So we see we have our update size. We go over here. Update size got called again. We add a viz. Update size got called again. So I'm guessing update size. Update resize is not getting called. I'm guessing it's that we had like service viewport. Effect. Current view. Oh, I wonder if it's because this effect doesn't get called because we're not listening for it in there. That is kind of a new thing for me. I think it is probably for most people. Yep, that was it. So literally just calling this in here will then fire off all the other effects. And a lot of my, like in a lot of, I've started a lot of my new code, I've started, Okay, let's see. Adding like this whenever I have a signal that is um, listening for screen size changes. And so that kind of makes me think like most of the time when you're seeing me code, when I'm coding in this, it's sort of I'm coding like something I've already coded like 100 times before. This signal stuff is pretty new to me. So like I just it should have immediately popped in my head. The minute if you're modifying anything that's a signal, then don't then you need to think twice because sometimes just the process of calling the signal is the trigger of the work that you want done. So this process visualization gets called anytime a viewport resource service changes. And so I was like, well, I don't need that data anymore, so I'm not calling it anymore. But actually, it wasn't just the data; it was also the execution of everything after that data. All right, now this affects you if the current. Oh, okay, see, that was like. So this is what I was trying to do before. So let's just do this. I don't think I need those words anymore. I just need this little telephone thing. I think it's such a good idea to put like a little emoticon, specific emoticon thing there. Um, then, all right, all right, all right, all right. Pretty happy with that. I don't know what this NAND thing is. I'm not going to worry about it now. All right, so I would love to just like this feels like such a good time to just be like, okay, I'm done, done for today. Listen to what's going on up there for a little bit. But and my next my say hello project, I want to upgrade to Angular 22 today. So but it'll never be easier to go through and figure out what needs to be done, like what needs to be removed. Okay, get current renderer ID. Okay, so all this does is get it from up there. Who's calling this? Because I don't think we want that anymore. I think we want to get it from the service. Okay, so this is not that. This should now be. So I was saying current route. Okay, yeah, that's this guy right here. This is a signal. So don't just delete this. This does two things. It does an assignment, but it also does a subscription. It also listens for publishes. Um, I actually like this listening for route changes. Route changes. I don't think we need this. Listening for screen size. I'm guessing this is for this guy right down here. Again, I don't know what the best way to deal with these sort of signals is, but and even like the mindsets, it's definitely cool. I mean, and very powerful. Um, so, and I'm not quite. I don't think I need that last comment there anymore, but I'm not quite ready to delete it. Um, process visualization. So that's a signal. Is this a signal? get render. Oh, okay, this was the thing. I don't really want to use that anymore. I want to use this dot app layout service dot edit render ID. So basically, even in here, we're like trying to get as little coupling even within itself, even though we know it's not even gonna, it'll always be part of itself. But I guess even like this kind of stuff is just, it's nice to decouple because if you need to copy it somewhere else or remove it somewhere else, it it's nice and easy. Um, all right. Is render created? I think we probably need that one. Does right? See, that's what this component knows about is the DOM elements. That's really, it's a parent component. I guess that's what parent components normally will have a pretty good view of is the DOM elements. Okay, so we know we're using the ST render ID. I don't know if we're using this anymore. I guess the easiest way to deal with something like that is just delete it and see if the transpiler freaks out at all. It did not break anything. It doesn't seem like. I guess we should test it. Okay. I think we could probably get rid of both of the. I don't know. Actually, I wonder if that's how the calc. Okay, so it's saying that on the HTML we show the width and the height. All right, so let's keep those for now because I'm pretty sure that's down here somewhere. I don't know. I guess we should look. At least look. Viewer width, viewer height. Ah, okay, so that's all we're using it for is just to show. And that was just for aspect ratio. We're not working on aspect ratio. If we ever need to, I guess we'll bring that back. But I don't want to keep um, variables around just because, and I doubt we even want the aspect ratios over here. I think the aspect ratio is just the first thing where I actually show something like that. So it's like I kind of want to keep it, but that, you know what? Actually, let's just leave it as is. Um, Hopefully, when we do this, redo this part down here, we'll move that aspect ratio stuff over here, and that'll be gone from here. All right, so process visualization. I think we definitely need that because um, like there's timing issues and those timing of when things get sizes and stuff like that. So um, app update ST visualization size. Okay. Does editor DOM exist? Is render created? So we're saying, hey, if we have a render ID, you know, that's not bad actually. So we're saying, hey, if we have the render ID, then the renderer is created. and we get the renderer ID from the service signal. So I think it makes sense that we then wait till we have it, we've got it, to say, hey, yeah, by the way, we've got it. In some ways, it's just I don't know how that's different than initialized, but okay, let's just see where we're doing that. Is like set calculated aspect ratio clearly doesn't belong in here. Is renderer created? I don't even know if so. We're using this a bunch. We have 6 instances of it. Also, one is just because the name of it is that, and then the second one is where we call it. That's 2, 3. So we pass that to the visually to update the visualization size. We know we need that one. Yeah, okay. I think at this point we have optimized away everything that is no longer necessary after basically lifting and shifting all of this. So now I think we're done with the toolbar, right? Because we weren't doing anything with it anyways. Update. So we weren't doing anything with that anyways. And then app, data, layout. And then this stuff needs to move over. So let's see. I don't think there's anything going on in our toolbar. And that should be easy enough to fix. Yeah, so all we do is that. Here, all we do is this. We don't think we need this background color anymore. And I don't think we need to set it to block anymore. We might, but I don't think so. Let's just double check. Reload. Yep. Okay, so that's all good. So we are done with this part. I'm just even wondering if we even want this over here. I don't even think we want this. Because what do we care? Like the update viewer. Curious if we get rid of that, what happens? So it doesn't look like we even need that case anymore, which that definitely lowers the complexity of this dramatically. That was pretty scary, that part where we were like, it did seem like it behaved a little differently, but that was scary, the part where we like it wasn't resizing anymore. And then it was just like, oh my gosh, what did I break? And how far back do I go? How far do I have to undo to get back to working again? So I was on the verge of just being like, that's it. Let's just undo everything we just did and start from scratch tomorrow. But I'm glad I didn't. All right, so all that is left now, it looks like, is to get this editor out of here. And then I do kind of want to make this the publisher services thing. What is it called? App editor. Why is it getting rid of that? That's weird. It keeps getting rid of my greater than 0 over here. So I guess if that red line goes all the way over there, it's going to get rid of every. Oh, it did anyways. edit, vendor ID. Is it going to get rid of it again? So greater than 0 if it does. Okay, it didn't. That was wild. Sometimes you just have to fight with the editor. Okay, now, so this actually became much less. Oh, okay, and then this over here. So this whole thing down here just became a lot less, like completely decoupled, right, from um this got completely decoupled, right? So now like all of this could easily be copied and pasted into anything that had the ST publisher renderer and the app layout service or the ST publisher service, the app and the app layout service. If you have those two things, then without any code, you can have these. These will work just fine. Um, and that is like a very like represents a lot of growth on my part. And that is like one of these like milestones that I have this sort of personal rule where I say like every 3 years I need to be doing code that me from 3 years ago could not have read. If and that's like one sign that I'm on the right track. If if I'm not writing code today that I would not have been able to make heads or tails of 3 years ago, then I've 100% chance I'm falling behind. And it's just like a never ending. There is never a a reason to not be growing in software development because it's just always changing. Um, just do that because everything's changing anyway. So, anyways, what I want to do next will be to like lift and shift all of this into here, and that should be pretty easy tomorrow. Um, and once that's done, then we can get back to working on the toolbar. I can do a commit. Well, I'll do commit, unit tests, end-to-end tests, and then back to the toolbar. And I believe the first one we're going to work on is like a little button to show this as intended. So if it's like, if I add one and then this should show up right here. And then if I go here and I go update and then I hit my new little button, ooh, no, what happened? I don't think it works on if there's two of them. That's not good. Edit, update. Hmm. F12. There we go. All right. My boss just called something. It's kind of funny because, like, I feel like, because they said, hey, like, two people have to be in the office, so they're working, but then two people are on call, but they didn't really define what on call was. So it's like, it's pretty much working. I guess I can do whatever I want, though, which is cool. And it is an amazing job. So I'm not complaining. I'm just like thinking out loud, I guess. All right. So this all looks good. Oh, it breaks when there's two of them. That's right. Gosh darn it. And then there's nothing in the like there's no breakage in here. And this is one of those ones where it's like, well, I have some time. I probably should figure this out. Okay, so what is going on here? Okay, edit renderer ID. Let's see. Okay, that is so darn weird. Oh, I wonder if there was a. That is so wild. Okay, now it's broken. Editor 2, that's right. That was the weirdest thing, right? So that was the weirdest thing. So then when I hit a save, the okay, guys, that's weird. That is really, really strange. So if I change it, and then so the memory, so for some reason, when I make a change here, the memory updates. But I've never seen that before. That is a novel thing. I've never seen where you make a change and then when it re does, oh, so that'll be interesting. Okay, so if I go here, update. Interesting. And if I resize, then it redraws. But only after. So this is definitely like, I don't think the effect is not running or there's some sort of timing error or something. So console.log is running. Okay. Oh, did you see all the? Okay. Oh, let's try. Oh, I'm very curious now. I'm curious if can you do this and then resize and will it work? Oh my gosh, that is fascinating. Okay. So, but if I go here, and oh, and then the other wild thing is I think it, and then it'll work, right? Because there's only, oh no, okay, so it wasn't working anyways. It may work like the very first time or something. Let's see, let's go back to here. Let's reload. Let's add something. Let's go here, update, then here, update. Okay, so that is not working. We come back through the second time. I'm wondering if, oh, and the affected run too, right? So like if I go here, clear the console. update. So the effect was running, the visualization happened. I'm curious if there might even be, this is our layout viewer. This is our viz. So we do have a viz. It's got a width and a height, but there's no ThreeJS object inside of it. And then if I resize, we look at the same thing. And now there is a ThreeJS. Is that it? Now there's a canvas in there, but there was no canvas in there up here. So for some reason the canvas doesn't get drawn. And I'm wondering, okay, so this has its own effect, but it's like, okay, so what happens when we resize? Let's see. Process visualization. See, there was like we got rid of the set timeout earlier, and it was like, oh yeah, I don't have to do this anymore. Let me see. Probably the easiest way would be, okay, app update layout component. That's this guy right here. App update layout component. Where did we have a set timeout? Update ST visualization. I don't know. Did we? I don't even see a set timeout anymore. Oh, it was right here. It was in resize visualization. Wonder how resize. I've totally forgot how resize valid. So I'm guessing we moved this, right? We moved this. And somewhere we call a resize. Okay, let's do this. Go back to the original code, this code, do a control F on resize. Okay, so there's 6 instances of resize. A resize service. It's kind of wild because like it works. It works. The resize causes all of this to work. See, one thing I wish they did, and maybe it does exist, but it sure would be nice if on resize, if we could, um, like if we could know why something got fired. Like, does this get fired because of resize? Did this get fired because the update change? Right? Because like if we do this and we clear this, and then we go here, and then we go here, and then we go here. See, the effect was running again, but um, but it seemed okay. But there was but but like there was a timing issue, is my guess. And so now if we change this, we'll get the effect is running again, but it's going to be for the resize, and it works. So it seems like set calculated. Feels like process visualization needs like to have a timeout, and this update visualization size. Okay, console log. Maybe this is our issue. Console.log update st visualization size. 12. And then so we did get to update visualization size. All right. Do we get here if I do this? Yes. And then is render created is false. DOM element is true. Okay, so is renderer created is probably the problem. Okay, so now if I go here, I'll get there again. Now, oddly enough, when I go here, I'll go here again. Now, is render created is true. Editor DOM element is true. Okay. But interestingly enough, we're still on this view. So this is the problem, is we have not shifted into the new view yet at this point. So now if I resize, but I'm wondering if you add something. No. Someone said something. I didn't look fast enough to see what they said. Apparently something exciting is going on because they're like, this is not boring. Yeah, there's like a bunch of debate going on. All right. Anyways, so I think before we call update visualization size, we have to wait till like all of the like I'm wondering, so the viewport size, visualization size, we should be listening for the route change. Maybe that's the problem. Because we're not affecting off of the route change. I don't know. I'm like just stabs at darks. Current view. Well, oh, here we are listening for a route change. Current route. What is current route return? Go to definition. So this gets published. It's a read only. To signal. Reset all event instance of navigation end. I'm wondering if that's not happening. This get route. How do I get? Okay, so current route. Okay, and that gets signaled in there and all that. So I'm wondering if this get router URL. So doesn't it feel? I feel like this one is well. Okay, so the order. I don't. It seems like the navigation. Maybe the navigation end doesn't happen. I don't know. I don't know. I think console log route change. 12. Just get rid of this one. And then, did we get our route change? I'm going to filter on route change. Yeah. So basically, oh, no, I don't want that. I don't want to do it that way. Okay, let's clear this. Okay, so the problem is we want to go here. Route change was the very first thing, right? So you clear this, and then you add a viz. Okay, so we never got a route change, which makes sense because we didn't change routes. Now we change here. Looks like route change was the very, very first thing. So the route change happens before the router updates the code. See, route change was up here. The effect was running was down here. And then all that. So I feel like, yeah, it feels like the route change is changing before the actual UI is being updated, which is an issue for me. It's kind of weird. Navigation and I guess I don't quite understand. I thought I understood it, but does process, I don't think this matters, right? Calculated aspect ratio probably does matter, but let's just do this. No, I don't know why I keep doing that. Set timeout. I think there's a better, there's a really good name for this now. So I think I can just control copy that out. Okay. So now it's completely broken. Do all these need to go? All right. This timing issues thing is just always a constant thing for me in Angular. It's just like, and everybody I've ever worked with, it's just like, as you start moving things around, um, timing starts changing, just little subtle changes in timing. Let's try this. So, oh well, so yeah, this timing is a real issue because like I think these other things need certain things in that, but I don't know about doing effects inside of timeouts. It's probably not wise. All right, so let's just get away from this. Back to here. Let's process the visualization, update visualization. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe. Okay, so this determines if the renderer is created and if the DOM element exists. Okay. And then this, I think we did update ST visualization size. Let's update visualization size. Okay, I can't remember if that update shows up or not. Okay, so update visualization did show up. Let's go over here. Let's add a visualization. And then clear. Okay, so update visualization happened. But I thought it was working if you created one. It was just if you tried to. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's reload. Yeah, so it's the first time you come through, it works fine. But then when you try to go back and see, we get the effect and the update visualization size is the last thing that happens. Clear. And then we hit this edit. And I can tell you right now, this is not fun, right? This is not fun. This would be a million times less fun if I was at work trying to get this. Okay, so right here, we got the update visualization size. Now, if we change this, so, and we still get that. So I feel like this update, if we were to add a set timeout at update here, like we just want to do like this. So right now I'm not thinking at all about like um, um, I'm not thinking at all about like unit tests. I'm not thinking about other pieces working. I'm just thinking about this one piece working. Are we breaking other things? Maybe, maybe not. And you see how easy it is. Like everything, I feel like everything we did made total sense. But then like something broke, and it would have been very easy for that to get all the way to end-to-end tests. Okay, so that did not work. Comma 100. Let's add 100 milliseconds. Let's see what happens. So even like 100 milliseconds. So even, let's try 1 second. 1 second should be noticeable. And it is weird because before, whenever we made a change here, it would work. Let's see if it still works when I resize. No. Oh, now it's broken when I resize. Oh, I might not be waiting the whole time though. All right, is something broken? Is there? Nope. Interesting. All right, so for some reason, when we update the layout service and we wait, so we have some interesting timing things going on. Now, this is definitely not the kind of, like before I was like, okay, we need to bill. But this time I'm like, no, we don't want to bill from this. What in the world? Today. Okay, so we'll get rid of the set timeout. Oh, maybe it's this one. There we go. Right, our set timeout was being closed when there isn't one. Just don't know. And then I go here. Doesn't work. So it's like whatever we want to do, whatever the resize is after. Okay, how do we, okay, so whenever a resize happens, this fires, right? Viewport resize service viewport. It fires anytime a resize happens. And then process gets called. and then this AR thing gets called, and that. But if we purposely call, I guess it's probably not that one. That's probably fine. It's got to be this one. What happens if I call process again? I don't think it's going to be a problem, right? This dot process visualization. This. I don't think it's a problem to call it twice. It should not be. If it is, that's probably a, it would be a good to. It should be idempotent. It shouldn't care, um, but it does. So weird. All right, let's do this. Now we're not even trying to find. We're just trying to get something to work. We're not even trying to fix anything at this point. Okay, so we're just going to put this behind a set timeout. This, when you have problems like this, it's pretty good indication that like there's a huge understanding gap somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to add like 3 seconds. And I'm just curious if it like shows up and then disappears. Because that's what I would think would happen based on what we're seeing. And never ever. Now we have been having weirdnesses though, like where like then I hit refresh and everything works. See, now I'm wondering like, is this even is this some other like Angular thing? Let's see. Like let's do this. Let's start here. Let's reload. We're gonna start here and we're gonna go here. Then we're gonna add one. And then we're gonna go here and update. Doesn't work. Now I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna add one. And then update. Works. And it's kind of weird. Let's go here that we're going to number 2. Why are we always at 2 now? What is happening? All right, data, that is weird. Entities. Okay, we have, okay, so right now we have a visual component. That's weird. Okay. So that has definitely changed the way things work because now we have this visual component that exists right out of the gate, which we don't want. We don't want that. Like that, whatever is causing that is something I don't want. So that is like a bug I need to fix. All right, so basically right now, let's go ahead and get rid of this, hit save. Yeah, so no matter what happens, I have a visual component of 1. Yeah, everybody's yelling at each other over there at the Senate. Or I mean, in the House, they're all screaming at each other. I think right now. Well, they're not all screaming at each other. They're all in the no, only one at a time, but they're not happy. All right. Why do we have like if I go to another Scar data structures. Yeah. All right. So that next step we have got to figure out why are we getting. I mean, I'm not undoing this. Like we are gonna work through this, or I might end up bailing out of all of this, but I've got to work through this and try to figure out. Okay, first of all, okay, right now, okay, figure out why we have a viz component even before we even create a viz. And I don't know if this is a problem. I don't think it's a good idea, though. I think it's a bad idea just to have just this strange thing. I'm curious, so I guess what would be interesting to know is, I guess it uses that viz component, right? The render who viz component ID of one. I don't even know who. Seen who? I don't even think anybody. That is weird. Yeah, so at some point we are creating a viz component, even though not a single component exists yet. And then I don't know what's happening. Like when we go and we have a visualization, and we go back. Oh, okay, yeah. So we have this viz component. Oh, that is fascinating. And then we had what? Something is gone at 9. Oh, viz is, and see, this has an st viz component of -1. And this st viz component got created. And then I have console logs everywhere. St viz component. I don't even know where this st viz component gets created. From TypeScript type. This is where we define it. What is this in? This is in viz. Oh, okay. So it gets created. Oh, maybe the problem is in the template when we didn't add that. Okay, so over here we had like I think we said if the st viz component is greater than 1. So we had like this. This was up here too. That seemed like a completely reasonable thing. If update service edit render ID is greater than 0. So we do not want to actually render this because this actually creates data. Now that probably isn't our problem. That may be our problem. I don't know. It was a weird issue. Okay, that seems to have solved that issue. Now, and oh my God, how much harder would that have been to figure out if we didn't have this view? That would have been so much harder. Ah, thank God. Adviz. That was very stressful. All right, that was enough excitement for today. Happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. I'm gonna kind of loop back into work, make sure everything is good, and then I will work on up, check in with my wife, and then I will work on my say hello application in a up trying to upgrade it to Angular 22. Bye. Happy coding. Bye.